11 o'clock appointment with Mr. Gallagher, personnel. 1 o'clock luncheon with the representative of the Blakewell Paper Company.
Marilyn Monroe's death has haunted Hollywood and the world for more than 60 years, wrapped in a mystery that refuses to fade. Was it an unexpected tragedy or something far more sinister involving powerful people and hidden motives? Beneath the polished surface of the official story lie contradictions, shifting testimonies, and unsettling details that reveal a far more complex reality. These revelations shed new light on America's most iconic star and suggest her final days were far darker than anyone imagined. Unexplained circumstances of death. The official account of Marilyn Monroe's death on August 5, 1962, described it as an apparent self-inflicted overdose. Yet from the start, troubling inconsistencies clouded that conclusion. Witness statements conflicted, timelines shifted, and key evidence seemed mishandled or missing. The sheriff's deputy who arrived first found Monroe's home strangely staged, noting odd behavior among those present, an observation that planted early suspicion of something more complex at play. Forensic details only deepened the mystery. The deputy medical examiner reported lethal levels of pentobarbital and chloral hydrate in her system, but no undigested pills in her stomach, raising questions about how the substances were administered. Possibilities such as injection were never properly investigated, leaving an unsettling gap in the record. Suspicion also surrounded the actions of Monroe's housekeeper and companions that night. One officer recalled Eunice Murray washing sheets upon arrival, an unusual act at a death scene. Others felt the setting appeared overly controlled, as if prepared in advance. These contradictions, combined with the lack of a thorough follow-up, continue to fuel speculation that Monroe's death was more than an apparent self-inflicted overdose. Decades later, the unanswered questions still shadow her legacy, ensuring her final night remains one of Hollywood's most haunting mysteries. Marilyn's early life paints a vivid backdrop to the complexities that shadowed her final days, revealing how deeply rooted struggles shaped the woman behind the superstar. From Norma Jean to Marilyn Monroe was born Norma Jean Mortensen in 1926, into a childhood marked by instability and emotional hardship. Her mother's severe mental health issues meant Norma Jean was shuffled between foster homes and an orphanage for much of her early years, never experiencing the consistent care or security a child needs. This fractured upbringing instilled feelings of abandonment and vulnerability that would haunt her throughout her life and influence how she related to others, including those in Hollywood's often ruthless spotlight. At 16, Norma Jean made a practical decision to marry James Dougherty, partly to escape the precariousness of foster care. This step into adulthood was born of necessity, not romance, revealing the fragility beneath her later glamorous persona. During World War II, while working in a munitions factory, a chance photograph captured her striking presence, launching her into modeling and eventually movies. Yet even as her fame soared, she wrestled with the duality of her identity. The dazzling image crafted by studios clashed with her inner self, fractured by early trauma and fame's pressures. Hollywood's grip on Marilyn's image only deepened these struggles, as the industry boxed her into a narrow, limiting role at great cost to her well-being and ambitions. Career typecasting and studio battles. Despite Marilyn Monroe's undeniable talent and growing screen presence, Hollywood chose to define her by a very specific and restrictive image. She was cast repeatedly as the archetypal dumb blonde, a stereotype that emphasized her sex appeal while overshadowing her intelligence and range as an actress. This typecasting, pushed heavily by studio executives, kept her confined to roles that prioritized allure over substance, reducing a complex woman to a simple caricature for box office success. This manufactured persona frustrated Marilyn deeply. She was known to be a dedicated student of her craft, studying method acting and seeking out more challenging material that would allow her to demonstrate her true abilities. However, despite her efforts, the scripts she was offered rarely reflected this ambition, and her attempts to break free were met with resistance. Disputes with 20th Century Fox grew frequent, with Marilyn refusing roles she found demeaning and even risking suspension to assert control over her career. The studio system saw her primarily as a marketable product rather than a fully realized artist. This commercial exploitation came with a personal toll. fueling her feelings of underappreciation and trapping her in a cycle of public adoration and private dissatisfaction. Marilyn's personal life, fraught with its own challenges, mirrored the intense pressures she faced professionally, both realms intimately intertwined and influential on her fate. Turbulent personal life and addiction. Marilyn Monroe's personal life was as tumultuous and complex as her public career, marked by a desperate search for stability and love that often eluded her. Married 3 times, each relationship ended in divorce, exposing emotional wounds rooted in her unstable childhood. Marilyn Monroe's marriage to baseball legend Joe DiMaggio appeared idyllic, but beneath the glamour lay deep conflict. Joe's discomfort with her fame and sensual image clashed with Marilyn's longing for independence and artistic respect. Jealousy and control strained the relationship, ending the union in less than a year. At the same time, Marilyn faced worsening anxiety and depression. To cope, she turned increasingly to prescription substances and alcohol, initially to manage insomnia and stress. But dependency soon followed. Her reliance affected her work. She arrived late, forgot lines, and occasionally missed shoots. Misunderstood by studios as unprofessional, she was often labeled difficult, though few recognized the inner turmoil driving her behavior. Her decline mirrored the crushing pressures of Hollywood fame, a life built on perfection but haunted by fragility. Behind the image of a radiant icon was a woman seeking stability and love in a world that commodified both. As her addictions deepened and relationships unraveled, Marilyn's private pain became inseparable from her public persona. These struggles, intensified in her final years, set the stage for the tragic circumstances and enduring mysteries that would follow her death, cementing her legacy as both a luminous star and a symbol of vulnerability. The tangled web of Marilyn's intimate connections led her into the orbit of some of the most powerful and controversial figures of her time, bringing new complexities to her story. Kennedy connections and political intrigue. Marilyn Monroe's rumored relationships with President John F. Kennedy and Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy have fueled fascination and speculation for decades, weaving her story into the heart of American political intrigue. Friends and staff close to Marilyn spoke of her emotional involvement with both brothers in the early 1960s, suggesting the connections were more than brief affairs. Some accounts hinted these relationships may have been politically motivated or complicated, placing Marilyn in a dangerous position amid the secrecy of the Cold War era. Further deepening the intrigue were later revelations from those who knew her personally. During a 1983 BBC interview, Monroe biographer Anthony Summers recalled a striking exchange with the actress's former housekeeper, Eunice Murray. Eunice Murray told biographer Anthony Summers, "Oh, why do I have to keep covering this up? Well, of course Bobby Kennedy was there, and of course there was an affair with Bobby Kennedy." The remark reignited debate over Marilyn's ties to the Kennedys and their possible connection to her final days. This statement reignited debate over Marilyn's ties to the Kennedys and their potential link to her final days. Her connection reportedly prompted FBI and CIA surveillance, underscoring how her private life collided with political power. The alleged wiretapping of Marilyn Monroe's phones and government surveillance blurred the line between her private life and national security. This scrutiny fostered paranoia and deepened her vulnerability, intensifying personal and professional pressures. Her connections to the Kennedys raised troubling questions about how close she was to power, and whether that proximity made her a liability. The blend of love, politics, and secrecy shadowed her final months, as whispers of hidden diaries and confidential affairs fueled suspicion that her death was more than tragic. The complexities surrounding Marilyn's death extend beyond personal tragedy, hinting at forces that shaped and possibly ended her remarkable but vulnerable life. Conflicting witnesses and cover-up theories. The circumstances surrounding Marilyn Monroe's death remain clouded by contradictions that continue to spark suspicion decades later. Housekeeper Eunice Murray's story shifted repeatedly, first saying she discovered Marilyn early in the morning and called the psychiatrist, then later hinting she had been told to hide key details. These inconsistencies deepened public doubt about what truly happened that night. Forensic evidence only added to the mystery. Though lethal levels of barbiturates were found in her system, there were no undigested pills in her stomach, suggesting a different method, possibly injection, was used, an angle never properly investigated. Officers noted the scene appeared staged, with Murray washing sheets and those present seeming rehearsed. Sergeant Jack Clemens, the first officer on site, later said he believed Marilyn's death was not self-inflicted. Reports from friends described chilling final moments. Actor Peter Lawford recalled a slurred phone call in which Marilyn said goodbye to him and the president. Declassified FBI and CIA files later confirmed she had been under surveillance due to her political associations, reinforcing the idea that her private life overlapped with dangerous power circles. A 1992 reinvestigation exposed serious flaws in the original inquiry but upheld the ruling that her death was self-inflicted. Rumors of a missing diary linking Marilyn to powerful figures further fueled intrigue. As biographer James Spada told People in 2012, what happened to Marilyn Monroe is one of the great mysteries of the 20th century. Although Spada didn't believe there was proof the Kennedys were responsible for her death, he acknowleded it was pretty clear that Marilyn had had sexual relations with both Bobby and Jack. Monroe's story endures as one of beauty, fame, and unanswered questions, an emblem of the high cost of living too close to power. Marilyn Monroe's legacy is a tapestry of brilliance, vulnerability, and unanswered questions. These revelations remind us that behind the glamour was a complex woman whose story remains partly untold. If uncovering the truth about iconic figures intrigues you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries that shaped history.